Budget now nearly 3 weeks overdue, and the biggest holdup continues to be whether or not Albany will raise taxes on the richest New Yorkers. Mayor Zohran Mamdani pushing this idea since revealing a massive gap in the city's budget. We've been talking about it right here on this show shortly after getting into office. But Governor Kathy Hochul, who will need to sign off on any tax changes, fighting against the move. But now the two sides finding a slight compromise. The governor proposing this pied-à-terre tax for those who have a second home in New York City. New York State Assemblyman Alex Borez, representing parts of the Upper East Side and Midtown East, weighing in on the proposal now as he runs for Congress to replace Jerry Nadler in New York's District 12. He is going on the record. And Alex Borez is joining me now. So great to have you back here on Picks on Politics. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And I want to begin with some of the major news of the week, Alex, right? The tax on second homes in New York City. This is a big announcement that Governor Hochul and Mayor Mamdani are now touting for anybody who has a second home, who's not a primary resident in New York City, but it's over $5 million. What did you think when you heard that announcement? Was that the right way to go?
Absolutely. We're looking for new creative ways of having revenue. I've been advocating for something just like this for a couple years. I introduced a bill that would add taxes when people are not using a New York City home as their primary home, because then they're not paying the New York City income taxes that we all are for living here. So that's a way to recover it and be able to use it for other things. My bill would have used it to lower everyone else's property taxes, directly affect affordability, but excited for new ways to use this revenue.
You know, one of the key takeaways here was that it wasn't exactly what the mayor campaigned on. The mayor campaigned on taxing the wealthy overall. The governor has repeatedly said it is off the table, and it seems to be a sticking point for the budget negotiations that are happening right now. You're passing another budget extender, not on time. I had one of your opponents here last week, Micah Lasher, who wouldn't really answer the question if he was in favor of taxing the wealthy. If it came to a vote, are you in favor of it?
Yes. The first option is always to find efficiencies, and no one has been stronger at that than I this year used AI to go through all of the old New York State statutes and find things that are outdated, and have a big bill that's a top priority of mine to get rid of these restrictions and make our government more efficient overall. But if it comes to it as the way to deliver the services that are needed, absolutely progressive revenue should be on the table.
And so is that a sticking point right now? Because you are, your second job, you're running for Congress, but you are a state assemblyman, and so that is part of the negotiations right now. Is that something that's still on the table, or is that kind of been scrapped now because of the pied-à-terre tax?
Well, we're finding ways to have new progressive revenue. I think pied-à-terre tax will probably be the dominant factor, but there haven't been final decisions made there.
Got it. You know, this is a budget that is past due, and I do want to talk about your race for Congress, but what are the other sticking points then on getting it done?
Well, the governor has a proposal to roll back a lot of our environmental protections that has many of us up in arms. We think that we are past due for what's needed in terms of installing renewable energy and incentivizing that transition, and so that's been a real sticking point. There's been aspects around immigration that I think we are behind on addressing. I have 2 or 3 bills that are part of that conversation as well. And then a few of the initial proposals around the auto insurance and other aspects. As per usual, it's not really the fiscal aspects that are holding up the budget. It's these additional policy outcomes.
Okay. Let's talk about your race right now, because the governor did come out and make a rare endorsement. She is not one to usually endorse, but she did endorse one of your opponents, Micah Lasher. What did you make of the endorsement? Did you want it?
Well, he worked for her, so it would have been more news if she had not endorsed him. I am focused on getting this budget done on time, and I think that's where everyone's focus should be.
So you are running to replace, of course, Jerry Nadler. It is a very crowded race. Some people have come in the race. They've already exited the race. You are sticking around. So how do you see yourself, I guess, similar and different from somebody like Jerry Nadler, who's been a powerhouse for so long?
Oh, I have tremendous respect for Congressman Nadler. When he came into office, it was with the West Side kids, as they were called. It was the young, new people with fresh ideas to take the government in a different direction, and he did many of them, and New Yorkers should be proud of his service. As I talk to my neighbors as part of this run, they're ready for that again. They're ready for new ideas. They're ready for people who are thinking about the future and the challenges that are coming instead of regurgitating the ideas that maybe we've had in the past. And they're focused on actually delivering results for themselves. In my time in the State Assembly, I've passed 30 bills through the state legislature. That's the same amount Congress as a whole passed in 2023.
Yeah. You know, you're talking about ways to kind of look towards the future, and a big thing that you have been focused on is AI. What are the biggest issues, I guess, that you see in this world where it is evolving very quickly? What is the biggest issue that you could tackle within Congress regarding AI?
There's so many. We have to address the threats to kids, and that's both through chatbots and some of the most horrific stories that we've seen, and are we updating our education system to really adjust for these new tools that are out there, both to train kids on the jobs of the future, but also how the access to these tools is changing the way assignments are done. Assigning a take-home essay no longer teaches critical thinking. We need to update on that. There's threats to the environment, there's threats in the international arena and the engagement that we have with China, and of course, the impact on the labor force. I talk to so many of my neighbors who say, oh, my job, they've put in a hiring freeze. What comes next? We're not hiring the same number of people as before. They're really talking about pushing out efficiencies. How long can I keep doing this job? We need to get that balance right very quickly.
So are you in favor of AI?
I think it can be a very good thing, but we have to shape it that way. On the current trajectory, we're not going in a good direction.
And AI data centers take up a heck of a lot of energy. We're seeing this kind of play out in various areas around the country where they're building these data centers, they're pulling all of the energy, people's energy costs are going up because of it. So how can Congress help with that?
The trade-off right now is one that doesn't work for people, but we can establish the incentive so that it does. We just have to be very, very precise and very hard-nosed on it.
How?
Well, so we have a electric grid in New York and throughout the country that is so outdated and makes it difficult to actually install new renewable energy that's more dispersed than it was before. And we haven't found ways to pay for that upgrade. Those have cost us jobs in New York and slowed the transition. And here comes an industry with nearly unlimited private capital that is really willing to pay for time. And right now, what they are doing is just trying to avoid government, install turbines like Elon Musk is doing in Tennessee, just awful things. But at the federal level, you could set the terms of the debate where you say, if you have, a very high percentage renewable net new that you are bringing in, pay not only for your upgrades to the grid, but also an additional margin on top that helps us upgrade it broadly, well, then you'll get moved to the front of the interconnection queue, and all of your competitors will be pushed behind, and you create an incentive that actually leads to more renewable energy.
Overall, when I talk to Democrats who are running, a lot of the things they say that they want to tackle is affordability. I mean, obviously, you've mentioned all these things, and we've talked about them before, and of course, battling Donald Trump, the president. And I often will now ask people, do you think if you were a member of Congress that you would want to impeach Donald Trump because of things? Would you?
Yes, right? We can't just be the party of impeaching him, but he has committed clearly impeachable offenses, and we should continue to hold him accountable for that. And, we got close to banning him from running for office after January 6th. Who knows where the tides are turning, but we can't just be the party of impeaching Trump. We need to be laying out our positive vision, which I have detailed on my website.
And who do you see as the leader of the Democratic Party? If you were to become a member of Congress, is it Hakeem Jeffries? Who is the leader?
I'll vote for Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker. I mean, first of all, he's the only one running, but also we've seen more use of these discharge petitions and legislating from the minority than we have in 30 years. Now, of course, I have criticisms. I'm sure people have criticisms for me. It's being a tough job being the Speaker of the House, or Minority Leader of the House in this case. But in terms of who's leading the party, that's a conversation I'm really excited to have in 2028. I think we have a lot of good visions going forward and good potential leaders, and I'm excited to engage with my fellow Democrats.
Okay, and you've agreed to do the debate with us here, so looking forward to a debate right here in our Pix 11 studios. Alex Borres, great to have you back on Pix and Politics.
Thanks for having me.
So after that very interview with Mr. Borres, his campaign released an internal poll showing him polling second behind Jack Schlossberg. Now, Schlossberg polling at 22%, with Borres at 19%, followed by Micah Lasher, who was on the show last week, at 14%, George Conway at 10%. But there is a large chunk of those polled in the district, 28%, who remain undecided. So, of course, we're staying on top of this race. We will have that big debate with the leading candidates at the beginning of June, so stay tuned for details on that.